JJ, what have you been playing?
Kaiju Wars. Back in the day on the NES, there was a Godzilla game, Godzilla 2. That was a real-time strategy game based around Godzilla, and that's kind of what this game is in its own little way.
I love that game, by the way. Yeah.
Godzilla 2 is a really good game.
Yeah.
Spoilers, they kind of recreate levels from that game in this game after you beat the game.
Cool.
This game is it's got this, you'll notice the colors are all based off of like, if you look at old like 50s and 60s kaiju movie posters.
When I was gonna say it's like kind of like it's got all the chroma aesthetic of those posters.
Those posters, and that's definitely what
the propaganda posters, baby. Love it.
Yeah. It's a comedy game. Don't get me wrong on this, but it does a really good job of kind of making an RTS more resource building and maintaining than anything. Like, it's a management game. Your goal is to not beat these monsters.
Oh, really?
They're in. You can't kill them. Your goal is to stop them, slow them down. There's different goals and different levels. One of the more common ones is there's a lab that you need to protect, and while they're developing the anti-kaiju serum, and there's some clandestine operations going on in the background, and there's some there's a UFO, there's like an aliens subplot that's playing out here, and there's like 4 different monsters that can attack, and they all have their own different abilities. Everything is like expendable. When you put tanks in front of these monsters, it is literally just to be in the way. They attack, and then they're destroyed, and they're cheap to rebuild, so you rebuild them. They destroy a base, you rebuild the base, and you're just trying to slow them down. They're stupid as hell too. They you know where they're going. You can click on the monster and it shows you where it's going. It always goes to the closest building first. If they're the same distance away from 2 buildings, it will just randomly pick one. And you have different. There's a card game aspect in it a little bit, where you have cards that cause different effects.
I like that the gorilla is winding up to hit.
Yeah. And these are all like cutscenes. Like when a monster attacks, like these are the videos that pop up, and it shows them entering the play field and everything. So if you're just trying to stop them, like if they step on your fighter jets, it does damage to them. The tanks slow them down, and the buildings, like you want to protect certain buildings because you are sort of the mayor of everything. So like you're getting the taxes from some of the buildings that are in there, and those taxes go towards making military bases and stuff. And they actually do some interesting stuff once in a while. There's one time where I did not have access to like military base. So the goal is to just sort of get the monster in sort of a pattern to like just buy time. You're just trying to buy time with what you have at your disposal. And then you have like some of them where you have to protect the laboratory. So in order to protect the laboratory, there are military security bases, and you have these locks on your HUD. And when all the locks are gone, it shows it. The monster will now know where the laboratory is, and just start going to the laboratory and sort of ignoring the closest building rule. And it breaks those locks by destroying these military bases. And every stage has its own things that you can do to like get medals. Defeat, like win in like 11 turns, or win in 4 minutes or whatever, to get more medals and stuff. And it's really campy. You can see it has FMV in it. Like they're these really cheesy like news programs and stuff. Like please, stay indoors unless, the building is falling down around you, then find the closest safe building to enter. And, it's like they're deadpanning some of this comedy that's going on. But as an RTS goes, they're really having a lot of fun with it. And they're doing something kind of different with it without just making it Advance Wars where you're fighting a giant enemy. It really is you sacrificing as much of your resources as possible to just slow this monster down. And it has PvP. It has a rather extensive level creator where you can share the levels online too. And like a mode where you can play as the kaiju and against another human opponent and everything. And each monster has their own like abilities, and they can evolve midway. Like if you drive them back, they'll disappear for a few turns, and then they'll come back with like a new ability. And so,
interesting.
Yeah, the card-based stuff kind of randomizes it a little bit, so it's really hard to set up a strategy that like stays successful throughout some of these matches. Later on the game, the matches.
How long do the matches usually take? Like
not very long, but just a few minutes if you're like. But the deeper into the game you get, the more drawn out they get because there's more going on. There's more stuff that you have to pay attention to. There's one where like they're driving around in like a radar truck that you have to sort of just keep the monster like unaware of and things. And sometimes they'll be like, you'll be fighting against a particular kaiju, you'll drop back, and when it comes out, it will be one of the other kaijus, like which can disrupt everything you've been working for, because like one of them can burrow underground, one of them flies, one of them's just kind of the generic, like the Godzilla one's just sort of the generic one, and like the King Kong one clearly just is it like has like a jungle advantage and things like that. So it's really cool. It looks beautiful. Soundtrack is fantastic. The aesthetic of everything in it is extremely my thing. And it performs really well because there's not much to it. It's like 20 megabytes. It's not a big game. It runs like an NES game. It's a beautiful game. It plays really well. It's like the campaign's like 15 hours. And it's $20.
Perfect length.
Yeah, 15 hours, $20. If you want to play an RTS game that's just a little different, I highly, highly recommend it. And if you're a fan of kaiju movies, especially like 50s, 60s era kaiju movies, like this is definitely something to look into. This is a kind of game that I think even like if Zach were here, he would probably be be kind of gushing about a lot.
Yeah,
of
he'd be
stuff that's going on.
He'd be having something to say for sure.
Yeah. But I love this game. I never would have known about it if you hadn't offered me the key, and I'm glad. This is definitely my kind of thing. I love RTS games. And
the key to the Kaiju City as the mayor, and that would be
I am the mayor of Kaiju. And you get to create your own mayor name, so it's
the mayor of Kaiju City. Love it. There you go, Kaiju Wars, baby.
Kaiju Wars, baby. Yeah.